My name is Lissa Harper, and I'm 26 years old. The day I walked into my parents' study with that manila folder in my hands, I knew my life would never be the same. My heart hammered against my ribcage, each beat echoing the years of disappointment, the countless comparisons, the endless feeling of never being enough. "You're not half the man your brother is," my mother hissed, her words dripping with the familiar venom I'd grown up drinking like poison. I laughed bitterly and threw the file onto their mahogany desk. Papers scattered across the polished surface like fallen leaves, each document a piece of the truth they'd spent decades hiding. Let me take you back to understand how we got here. Growing up in the Harper household meant living in a shadow. My brother Marcus was the golden child Harvard graduate, successful investment banker, married to a doctor, 2 perfect children. And then there was me, Lissa, the disappointment, the one who chose art school over business, the one who wore ripped jeans instead of designer suits, the one who remained unmarried at 26, much to my mother's horror. Every family dinner was a reminder. Marcus just closed $1 million deal. Marcus bought a vacation home in the Hamptons. Marcus's children are so well behaved. The subtext was always clear. Why can't you be more like your brother? I tried. God knows I tried. I worked 3 jobs to put myself through college without their money. I built a successful graphic design business from nothing. I volunteered at youth centers teaching underprivileged kids art. But none of it mattered. In their eyes, I would always be the failure, the black sheep, the daughter who couldn't measure up to their precious son. The breaking point came 3 months ago at Marcus's birthday party. My parents had rented out an entire restaurant, invited everyone who mattered in their social circle. I showed up in a tasteful dress, brought an expensive gift, smiled until my face hurt. I thought maybe, just maybe, this time would be different. "Lissa's here," my father announced without looking at me. "Still doing that little computer thing?" "It's graphic design, Dad. I run my own." "That's nice, dear," my mother interrupted, turning to her friends. "Marcus just made partner at his firm, youngest in the company's history." I stood there, invisible, as they celebrated everything Marcus had achieved. Nobody asked about my recent contract with a major publishing house. Nobody cared that I'd just been featured in a design magazine. I was furniture, background noise, the disappointing footnote in the story of their perfect family. That night, sitting alone in my apartment, I made a decision. I was done begging for their approval, done shrinking myself to fit their impossible expectations. If they wanted to worship Marcus, fine. But I was going to find out why. What made him so perfect in their eyes? What made me so worthless? I started digging. It began innocently enough. I wanted to understand Marcus's success, maybe find inspiration in his journey. I looked up his college records using old family documents. That's when I found the first discrepancy. His Harvard acceptance letter was dated wrong. The signature didn't match the dean's from that year. Something was off. The more I investigated, the stranger things became. I hired a private investigator, spent my savings on following leads. What I discovered made my blood run cold. Marcus never went to Harvard. The degree hanging in his office, forged. His investment banking career, built on lies and my parents' money. Every deal he closed was actually funded by our father's connections and cash. The vacation home in the Hamptons, bought by my parents, put in his name, his perfect wife. She had no idea her husband was essentially unemployed, living off family money while pretending to work 80-hour weeks. But that wasn't even the worst part. I found records, bank statements, legal documents hidden in my father's home office during a Christmas visit. Marcus had embezzled money from his supposed firm before they quietly let him go. My parents had paid back every cent to avoid a scandal, then set him up with a fake consulting business to maintain appearances. The golden child was nothing but gold paint over rot, And me, the daughter they scorned for being authentic, for building something real with her own hands, for refusing to live a lie. I was the actual success story they were too blind to see. So here I was 3 months later, standing in their study with evidence of everything. Bank transfers, forged documents, emails between my parents discussing how to handle the Marcus situation, legal settlements, payoff agreements, all of it. My hands shook as I watched them flip through the pages. My mother's face went pale, then red, then pale again. My father's jaw clenched so tight I could hear his teeth grinding. "Where did you get this?" my father demanded, his voice low and dangerous. "Does it matter?" I shot back, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. "It's all true, isn't it?" Silence, the kind that suffocates. My mother finally spoke, her voice barely a whisper. "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly," I interrupted. "I understand that you've spent my entire life making me feel worthless while propping up a fraud. I understand that every comparison, every criticism, every disappointed look was based on a lie." "Marcus needed help," my father said defensively. "He made mistakes." "Mistakes?" I laughed, and it sounded hollow even to my own ears. "He committed felonies. You covered them up. You bankrupted yourselves to maintain his perfect image while I ate ramen noodles for dinner and worked night shifts to pay for textbooks." My mother stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the hardwood floor. "We did what we had to do for this family. For our reputation." "Your reputation?" The words exploded out of me, 26 years of pain and anger finally finding their voice. "What about me? What about my reputation?" "Do you know what it's like growing up believing you're fundamentally flawed? That no matter what you achieve, you'll never be good enough?" "Lissa," my father started. "No." I held up my hand. "You don't get to listen me. Not anymore. I came here to tell you that I'm done. Done seeking your approval. Done pretending I need parents who never really saw me." My mother's eyes filled with tears, but I felt nothing. "If you expose this," my father said carefully, "you'll destroy Marcus, his marriage, his children's future." "I'm not going to expose anything," I said quietly. "I'm not like you. I don't destroy people to make myself feel superior." I pointed at the scattered papers. "Those are copies. I'm keeping the originals. Insurance. If you ever contact me again, if you ever try to manipulate or belittle me, if you ever speak my name with anything less than respect, I'll make sure everyone knows the truth about your perfect son." My mother gasped. "You can't mean that." "Watch me." I turned toward the door, then paused. You know what the saddest part is? I would have forgiven all of it. The favoritism, the neglect, the constant comparisons. If you had just once told me you were proud of me, just once looked at what I built and said, "Good job, Lissa." But you never did, and now it's too late. "Lissa, please," my mother's voice cracked. "We can fix this. There's nothing to fix, Mom. You made your choice 26 years ago. You chose Marcus over me every single day. Now I'm choosing myself." I walked out of that study, out of that house, and I didn't look back. 3 weeks have passed since that confrontation. My phone has been silent. No calls, no texts, no surprise visits. It's exactly what I expected and somehow still hurts in ways I didn't anticipate. I've started therapy. My therapist, Dr. Morrison, says I'm experiencing complex grief, mourning not just the loss of my parents, but the loss of the parents I always hoped they'd become. She's probably right. Work has been my salvation. I threw myself into a new project, designing a series of children's books about finding your own path. The main character is a girl who doesn't fit her family's expectations but learns her differences are her strengths. It's therapeutic, pouring my pain into something beautiful. My friends have been incredible. They've known for years how my family treated me, and they've rallied around me with unwavering support. Movie nights, spontaneous brunches, 3 a.m. Phone calls when the loneliness gets too heavy. They're my real family now. Yesterday, something unexpected happened. I received a letter, not from my parents, but from Marcus. His handwriting was shaky, the words obviously written and rewritten. He confessed everything, said he'd been living in fear for years, terrified the truth would come out. He thanked me for not exposing him and apologized for never standing up for me, for letting our parents treat me like I was invisible. He wrote, "You were always the strong one, Lissa. I was just too much of a coward to admit it." I don't know if I'll respond. Part of me wants to believe he's genuine. Another part knows that years of being complicit in my pain can't be erased with a letter. Maybe someday we'll talk. Maybe we won't. Either way, I'm at peace with it. The truth is, I don't need their validation anymore. I built a life I'm proud of. I have real friends, meaningful work, and most importantly, I have myself. The girl who was told she wasn't enough finally realized she was always more than enough. Some people say revenge is sweet, but this wasn't revenge. This was liberation. This was me finally understanding that their inability to see my worth says everything about them and nothing about me. My name is Lissa Harper. I'm 26 years old, and for the first time in my life, I'm enough exactly as I am.